So hello and welcome. My name's Steve Nobel, and today I'm speaking with Mercedes Mystique on Sacred Sexuality and New Wave Consciousness. Mercedes is a Sacred Sexuality Coach, Somatic Sex Educator, Certified Sexological Bodyworker, almost got my mouth twisted on that one, also a mystical dance teacher. She offers a modern-day scientific approach uniquely combined with Tantric and Taoist transformational techniques to living orgasmically, and also reclaiming love and empowerment to the fullest potential. So, hi Mercedes.
Hi Steve, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's a great subject, I think. And before we get into it, can I just ask about your journey? How did you become a sacred sex coach, sex educator, and body worker?
I think the bigger part of my journey started when I was entering into high school, and I was waking up asking myself, who am I? Why do I feel so unfulfilled? And, feeling like there must be more to life than what I was experiencing. And I can't remember who I heard it from or where I heard it from, but I remember hearing about yoga somewhere and reading up about what it was and thinking to myself, oh, they're speaking the same language, so I should go take a yoga class. And it was a traditional hatha yoga class. And in the class, they mentioned about all these different types of things, about the breath, about chakras, about consciousness, about tree of life. And when I went home, I started doing all this self-study, and I got onto Wikipedia. And you know how Wikipedia, they have all the different words, and they connect to different other forms of information. And I just spent like hours and hours and hours at home just looking up Wikipedia, and then came across sexuality in the Tantric tradition when I was searching up all these different things about chakras and spirituality, and started buying spirituality books. And I got to this point where I was working at a 9-to-5 job as a barista, and that's someone who makes coffees at a coffee shop. And I began to notice that one of the key areas in my life that was feeling unfulfilled was, that I was feeling like something was missing, was in my relationships. And so I started reading up on some of these tantric philosophies around union with the divine and how you can share that with through a lover, and consciousness through the masculine and feminine, and applied those philosophies into my relationships. And I still didn't really feel like things were happening in the way that I deeply wanted to create union with someone. Like, I was still experiencing, certain forms of emotional abuse or psychological abuse, and really wondering, what was I missing? And I had often heard the term, what's going on in your external environment reflects your internal environment. And I was like, oh, okay, well, what's going on inside of me then that's making me attract all these people that aren't treating me the way that I would desire to. And I didn't really know how to create, I came to discover I didn't really know how to create union with my body in a way that I could feel confident, and in a way that I could experience deep, profound pleasure and awakening, or even empowerment. And so I found that by tuning into my awareness of what my sexuality represents to me and where it is in alignment to my spirituality, that's where I started to really be led to where I am now on my path.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's quite a journey. Well, of course, nowadays we have, as you mentioned, energy, consciousness, awakening, tantra, and all of these wonderful things, which is a bit of a shift away from what it was back in my parents' day, the 50s. So there's all this kind of conscious exploration. Can you say something about how things have shifted recently, or what you're noticing in the shift? What are people looking for beyond the old conventional models?
Yeah, well, I think for me, I really see it as people really just trying to find a sense of wholeness. And I sort of see that in myself, is that it's not really about what we put our minds to, in our commitment, how long we can have a relationship for. I feel like people are looking for a deeper sense of union with the divine, with each other, and that comes in through the form of how we invite spirit into our bodies, and how we can really share that with another human being. And it's not just about getting married and procreating and creating children, even though that can be a big, deeper essence of building a relationship with someone through that means, but just finding a more deeper connection with God or goddess connection, and how we can see the divine with each other.
You mentioned earlier the connection between pleasure and awakening. It's kind of interesting because most religious paths have always disconnected. You know, if you want to have a spiritual connection with God, then switch off your body, or you know, whack it with things, or whip it or something, or deny it. You know, sins of the flesh.
Yeah.
So this is a real reversal from maybe 1,000 years of thinking, really. Certainly in the West.
Yeah, totally. And I like to really think of this, like I really switched it around for myself when I took the word desire, and I really tuned into a little bit more, less of the sort of one, like I guess like what happened with the word desire is, it can be more of the body and the flesh and more hedonistic in that sense, but I feel like that's only taking one aspect of the word, whereas like, you know, with the terms even yoga and tantra, people like nowadays, they only know one portion of what that word really represents. And so desire for me has a deeper meaning, a deeper, a more profound essence to it. And what I found was that with the word desire, it's actually, to me, and I think it's actually the original essence of the word is like a longing for, or a wishing for, or even awaiting something for what the stars will bring to you. And the key word around to this was like the stars, and I was like, I see where that's going, because if I tune into the star within myself, it's my North Star, and where do I long to be? Like, how do I long to create union with the divine in my life? And if I'm going inwards, like where's my North Star wanting me to go towards my life? And I found that desire is really a connection of how I can invite more love, more confidence, more pleasure in my body, and pleasure being in the sense of what's creating goodness in my life, what's creating goodness in my body, how do I make myself feel good, even on a somatic level, and how to connect the body with the essence of where I want to go in my life and where my North Star is.
My next question is, in terms of hedonism, you mentioned the kind of following what feels good, your North Star. Hedonism seems to be the opposite. It's like a running away from reality, an escape into something, fantasy land or something, perhaps even. Could you say something about the difference between awakening, moving towards something positive, good, to hedonism, which may be kind of a retreat, a running away from reality, perhaps? Yeah.
So in regards to that question, for me, I really notice this pattern with sexuality right now in the modern culture, and how people are kind of running off this automated pattern and conditioning of what they've been exposed to throughout their life, which hasn't really been a lot of education around what sexual pleasure is, how to connect to our bodies, how to really build intimacy with ourselves primarily, and with intimacy with others on a very deep, profound way. And so when I think about people who are sort of on that path of only sort of escaping to find a way out, or to find like going up and out and finding pleasure from the external world, it's sort of like they're responding from an unconscious place. And for me, Tantra is really about bringing the unconscious into consciousness, and how we can really tune into that is by tuning into our primal nature, our deep essence, which is connected to our sexuality. And by going down and in, you're able to really connect to how pleasure can be sourced from our original essence, and sort of that innocent nature that we connect to without the mind, and then building from a place of bringing consciousness into that perspective and into that integration. And where that starts to happen is it bridges the fragmented parts of the self that are in the unconscious into consciousness, so that we can become more aware, more mindful about how we can internalize our pleasure and then exude it from inside, instead of seeking outwards and then trying to bring it in.
What are some of the main ways you think some people listening to this can really start accessing their own sexual energy in a way that links them towards feeling good, their North Star, awakening?
Yeah. So there's a few different ways that I for myself access my own sort of sexual energy, and a lot of that has to do with activating the five senses. And in the Tantric tradition, they say that the five senses actually corresponds to a different part of your brain, and it's actually a deeply holistic and practical way to experience integrated sexuality in combination with having the brain working together with the body, so that you can really build an embodied sense of your visions or what you are wanting to create in your consciousness and bringing it into the body. And so they say that the smell is actually rooted to or connected to the root chakra, the primal instinctual part of your brain, and taste is connected to the sensual, sexual, liquid nature of yourself, and it's connected to with the mouth, and then the mouth is actually connected to your sex organs as well. Sight is connected with the belly, your will, your fire, your desire in many ways, and in a sense, your desire to make things happen and to manifest. And touch is connected with the heart. It brings a sense of compassion and joy and interconnectedness with oneself. And then hearing is connected with the throat chakra, and it connects you to your high level of inner genius. And I find that when you bring that, if you visualize your five senses into what you deeply desire for yourself in your sexuality or in your life in general, then you can start to incorporate breath, sound, and movement and start to build the energy within the body, and then be able to transcend that into almost like an energy alchemy. And there's actually a chakra meditation that I'm going to share at the end of this talk, but it's just super beautiful and super potent. Really love to share that.
Wonderful. What does transformation look like in the kind of work you do?
Yeah, so I think for me, transformation has really stemmed internally, like what I was mentioning earlier, like making the unconscious conscious, and really sensitizing myself enough to notice the parts that feel really heavy and sticky or blocked, and transitioning them into more of a free-flowing, fresh and alive energy. And transformation in that sense, like when it comes to sexuality, it's like really being able to work with the body, and how, because our issues are living in our tissues, as one of my teachers would say. So if there's any sort of stagnant or hurt or pain or suffering that's in the body, that's in someone's life, it's usually correlated, stuck somewhere in the body. And so in order to transform that form of suffering or the stagnation, moving with the body and becoming conscious of what we're feeling sensationally and somatically can really help to open up our awareness. And then once we're aware of what's going on in our body, then it creates more spaciousness to love those parts, those unconscious parts, and then build more of an inner ecology that can hold more pleasure and more high vibration, so that we can start living the life that we really desire for ourselves.
That sounds great.
Yeah. I can speak for myself. It's super awesome.
Okay. All right, Mercedes, you're offering a chakra meditation, so I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, great. Okay. So coming into a comfortable seating position in stillness. Closing your eyes. And inviting yourself to take some deep inhalations and exhalations. If you notice any thoughts or busyness from the day come up, just thank your thoughts and invite those thoughts to dissolve and come back to your breath. Feeling your belly and chest rise and fall. Feeling the soft coolness in your nose or mouth while you inhale. And the warmth of your breath when you exhale. And inviting yourself to visualize you living your deepest desire within your sexuality. Really creating it in your mind's eye as if it's already happening. And get really clear with this visualization. Notice what you're seeing, what's in the environment around you. Really trust what's coming through. And remembering to breathe in this process. What do you hear? What is something that you're hearing in this visualization? And what are some things that you can touch? What are some things you can smell? And what is something that you can taste as you visualize yourself in this reality? Really savor here in this experience that's coming through. And while still holding your visualization in your mind's eye, start to bring your awareness to your genitals. Notice if you feel any sensations present. You might feel an expansion, a tingling, or even a heat. And with each breath, gently squeeze your pelvic floor muscle, your perineum, on your inhale, and slowly relax on the exhale. Keep doing this for a few more breaths. As you continue this breathing, squeezing, and releasing, start to inhale your breath from your root chakra up the back of your tailbone to the front of your sacral chakra, and exhale back down to your root chakra, creating a circular motion from back to front. Continue to do this for a few more breaths, remembering to hold your visualization in your mind's eye, remembering all the things you saw, heard, touched, smelled, and tasted. Now inhaling your breath from your root chakra to your solar plexus in a circular motion while maintaining your visualization. Keep squeezing and releasing. Moving up with the inhale from your root to your heart in a circular motion. You can invite yourself to increase the speed of your breathing while remembering your visualization. Now inhaling from the root to the throat chakra. If you feel the urge to sigh on the exhale, allow yourself to do so. Remembering to squeeze on the inhale and relax on the exhale. And now breathing from the root to the back of the head to the third eye and down the front, creating a circular motion. Really feel your visualization to its fullest in this space. Continuing to breathe. And breathing from the root to your crown chakra in a circular motion. Still holding your visualization and squeezing on the inhale and releasing on the exhale your perineum muscles. And now with your visualization, taking one big final inhale to your fullest capacity from your root chakra, and inhale all the way up to the top of your head, up into the galaxy, into the universe, and holding your breath at the very top of the inhale. Holding, and holding as long as it feels comfortable. And when you're ready to release, you can release your breath, visualizing a shower of golden light energy sprinkling down from the universe, melting all the way down your body. You might feel your body wanting to move. Or you might feel sensations like a rippling or a shaking, or liquid light or waves of energy throughout your body. Really surrendering into this experience. When you feel complete, slowly come to a stillness, breathing and savoring in this experience. Feel your body's aliveness. Notice what you feel. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and coming back to a place of presence.